Hey, not only do we have the gas traction Big 430 on the pre-30 auction this year, we've also got this Emerson Branningham Big 420, which was the smaller brother of the Big Prairie tractor. And our consignor for this tractor sent this all the way from South Africa via England, and it's got a really interesting story. This tractor has traveled all over the globe and participated in plowing matches, and we were lucky enough to sit down with Wilfred Mole in South Africa, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the fascinating history on this tractor. Well, nice to finally meet you, Wilfred.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been wonderful dealing with your company, Kurt. You guys are professionals, and it's been an absolute pleasure. The tractor's there, and everyone's smiling.
What started you collecting antique tractors?
Okay, so on the farming side, I was just looking after the family hand-me-downs. Caterpillar-wise, much the same repeat performance. You know, yes. We owned them, we used them. They were used commercially, and then when the Aumann eventually sold the business, you know, he kept a couple of items back on the farm, and we went up there, a small farm, and then he died, and I ended up with them. And then I was very busy trying to revolutionize the vintage tractor movement in South Africa. There was a club, but they didn't do anything. And I said to them one day, guys, they said, nobody ever comes to our shows. I said, the reason is you park them in a row and all of you disappear to the beer tent. You don't do anything. The public aren't going to come here and sit here and watch you drink beer. You must have events. No, you don't know what you're doing. Now, remember, I was highly experienced. I'd been to some fabulous shows in the States. Anyway, they expelled me from the club for being a troublemaker. So I packed my tractors up and I said, well, if you don't want to do it, I'll do it. And I thought I need a draw card. So I just said, we're going to break the world record for vintage tractors, pre-1966, plowing in one field at one time. And called the Great 100 Working. It's all on the internet. It was great fun. Then the Australians got word of this and immediately broke the record, the 350 tractors the following year. That's in year 2000. And we said, no, okay, fine. We want the record back. Very competitive against Australia we are. And we upped it to 880, which was great. But by this stage, that had really caught on. And the guys came from Zimbabwe and other countries, and they poured in. And this time we had 880 tractors working one field at one time. You won't believe this, Kurt, but 15,000 people turned up. And so the great 400 working, because our target was to beat the Australian 350 at 400, but to double to 800. Such was the support. Then it ran away from me because the British then got stuck in with 1,000 or something, and then the Irish took it off them with 5,000 tractors, more or less, with the same rules and regulations, but not quite as tight. They didn't have a big enough field in Ireland. The Emerson, granting a Big 420, was very much at the heart and soul of what I was doing.
You're heading down a perfect segue into the Big 420, because that was actually the next question I was going to ask you, is how you found the Big 420 and how it's been a companion with you literally traveling the world.
Totally right. I mean, you could date it specifically. I knew about Oscar's Dreamland, and I'm very upset I never went there because I had opportunities, I think, which I just didn't bother to follow up. And I heard that Oscar died. So I rang up this telephone number and I got hold of an estate agent. And he said, he has only one daughter. I've got the job of selling the entire collection and the real estate, all as one job lot. 2,500 items, I think, and in Billings, Montana. And so I said, oh, well, can you send me a list of the tractors? He said, sure. Say, fax me a list or something. And I just randomly went through it, and I said, yeah, a couple of Waterloo boys, Roomley, nice tractor, 2 Emersons. I had an understanding of what Emersons were about. So there were big 420, big 430, and 2 Model T Fords, and a few other bits and pieces. The same guy I sent across arranged to pack them, send them, and they turned up. And of course, the big 420 was one of them. So anyway, the tractor arrived, and I love steel wheel tractors. My real passion is for anything on steel. And this was, well, I mean, the big one is unbelievable. a bit impractical, but certainly too impractical to ship to a plowing match in Australia. And because the small one fitted into a container, 40-foot container with some other tractors, we sent it to Australia. And the Aussies are very organized. There's some very good antique tractors in Australia. And, I was waving the flag for South Africa. I didn't want to go there with a Fortson Major. As much as I love Fortson Majors, I wanted to make a statement. And we had a great time.
From Australia to England also? Yeah, Ireland.
I was hoping the Americans would run with it, in which case it was easier to ship it from England, but nothing happened. I mean, the Irish kind of killed the whole thing off by having too many tractors. South Africa doesn't have 5,000 vintage tractors. It's been looked after by my daughter. And then I just sat here one day and I thought, it'll go back, it'll join a lot of other tractors, it'll cost a lot of money to ship it. I think maybe it should go home.
They don't show up often on the market here.
Yeah, I monitor all the auctions and I can see that. All right, thanks, Kurt.
Okay, thank you very much. We sure appreciate your time. I'm glad we got to visit.